Hello. It is me, your Tru Heel Phenom SP3, back with the weekend edition, the weekend update for the 3 count with SP3 for the weekend of February 8th and 9th, 2020. Welcome back to the 3 count, and let's get right into it. We're going to be talking about on this edition of the 3 count with SP3, we're going to be talking about the latest on the Backstage heat for Mr. Original Bro, Matt Riddle. We're going to be talking about notes and news coming out of WWE NXT, a couple of injuries, a name change, and a current superstar who walked out of NXT recently. And then we're going to hit you with the reasoning behind the co-presidents, George Barrios and Michelle Wilson, departing WWE. What's the real reason behind that? And we're going to give you a bonus count where Tessa Blanchard, unfortunately, has doubled down. Well, let's get to it. On our first count, we got to talk about my bro, your bro, everyone's bro, the man who came up with the question of 2020, the question of the year. Are you ready? How much fish could Bobby Fish fry if Bobby Fish could fry fish? How much fish could Bobby Fish fry if Bobby Fish could fry fish? How much fish could Bobby Fish fry if Bobby Fish could fry fish? Yes. Matt Riddle is the latest person who's in the news recently. It's all about stemming from a backstage encounter that he had with the WWE champion Brock Lesnar during the Royal Rumble weekend. We talked about it a little on Tru Heel Heat 62 about Matt Riddle and Brock Lesnar having a confrontation where Brock Lesnar was upset with Matt Riddle's constant calling out of him on social media. This followed up, we also talked about at the PC the following week, they talked to the NXT roster and told them to not tweet Raw and SmackDown superstars unless the superstar has agreed to working an angle with you, which got a big laugh from the NXT roster. On the latest Wrestling Observer newsletter this week, Uncle Dave Meltzer talked about Vince McMahon and his view of Matt Riddle. He views Matt Riddle as a person that is trying to disrupt the hierarchy in the business by calling out guys like Goldberg and Brock Lesnar. He views Matt Riddle as an outside guy who is trying to go into business for himself, basically, and that is the reasoning behind Matt Riddle's very abrupt exit from the WWE Royal Rumble 2020 Men's Royal Rumble. This has a lot to do with why a lot of people are not very confident in the likelihood of Matt Riddle getting called up and being successful, because they don't see Vince McMahon seeing Matt Riddle in a positive light, and none of his calling out of Brock Lesnar and Goldberg is helping with that. I enjoy it. It's definitely a lot of fun for us wrestling fans, for a person from this generation of talent, which I feel is probably the most talented of individuals as far as like in the ring aspects. This is the most talented roster that WWE has ever had, and a guy like Matt Riddle is definitely a representation of that. He comes from the MMA world, but he has such a personality that's just so infectious. He's very charismatic. And he just has that charm about him that just draws people in. So his calling out of Goldberg, his calling out of Brock Lesnar is all in good fun. I mean, for us wrestling fans, we all see it as fun. Yeah, I don't think any of us was very serious or very knew the likelihood of Brock Lesnar versus Matt Riddle or Goldberg versus Matt Riddle. It was a very slim likelihood of either of those matches happening. So the fact that Vince McMahon is getting very upset about things like that, I understand, because Vince McMahon does not like to promote matches that will never be done. So I can understand that aspect of it. But to say that Matt Riddle is trying to disrupt the hierarchy in the business, this is the reason why wrestling fans have no faith in you, Vince McMahon. This is the reason why. Because you view these part-time guys who are just not as talented as your current roster, you view them as hierarchy, and you view the current roster as lower tier guys trying to get up to that hierarchy. That's pretty much the issue of why there's not that many stars on the main roster and not that many stars on NXT, because for all the good things that Hunter thinks about. Hunter has a good foresight and definitely knows how to lay out a very great takeover and a great weekly show. But I don't think he knows yet how to make stars because he's been following Vince McMahon's prototype on how to make stars for way too long. I also have to mention that Matt Riddle did respond to WWE on Fox last night following WWE Friday Night SmackDown. WWE on Fox commented on Goldberg appearing on SmackDown via satellite to challenge WWE Universal Champion, The Fiend Bray Wyatt. Before his segment, WWE on Fox Twitter asked the question, who will Goldberg's next opponent be? And Matt Riddle, of course, had a response. He had a response, and his response was, I'm not going to do what sources are saying. I'm not supposed to do. Or am I? What's our sources saying? Very sarcastic tweet from Mr. Riddle, or Riddle if you're Kyle O'Reilly. Love that line from NXT. But Matt Riddle seems to still be having fun on social media, so nothing that has happened backstage is going to stop Matt Riddle from being Matt Riddle. And I'm all happy about that. On our second count, we got to talk about notes and news coming out of WWE NXT. Very good show this past week with the appearance of WWE main roster star Charlotte Flair to confront NXT Women's Champion Rhea Ripley, as well as Bianca Belair. We had the return of the one and only Velveteen Dream. Dreame. Yes. The Velveteen Dream returns. So very good episode in my opinion. A couple of news and notes coming out of there. The biggest news is apparent injury or hurt for Tommaso Ciampa, the number one contender for the NXT Championship, suffered an apparent ankle injury during the main event segment prior to the match kicking off. During the brawl that kicked off before the bell rang, Tommaso Ciampa was visibly hurt in his ankle area. They did not call off the match or pull Tommaso Ciampa from the match, so we are told as of right now that they don't believe it is very serious, but he will get a follow-up evaluation this coming week at the Performance Center. Adam Cole is said to add 3 staples to the back of his head following the main event matchup between the Undisputed Era and the Broserweights and Tommaso Ciampa, and the return of Velveteen Dream after that. He suffered a laceration in the back of his head, which caused 3 staples to seal it up. And then, like I said before, Charlotte Flair appeared and she confronted not the NXT champion, because the NXT champion is Adam Cole. She confronted the NXT Women's Champion. A couple of weeks back, I think on Tru Heel Heat 62 as well, we talked about WWE apparently making a change to the name for the NXT Women's Championship. They're calling it now the NXT Championship, making both the men's and the women's title both the NXT Championship. A lot of people complained about that. A lot of people said it would be confusing. So apparently WWE is listening to the fans. What a revelation. It's 2020 and WWE is finally listening to the fans. It's about damn time. And they have gone back and changed the name back to the NXT Women's Championship. It was addressed as that by commentary on NXT this week, and then it was also confirmed online on WWE.com as well as from the WWE on Fox Twitter. And then the final note from NXT, apparently NXT female superstar has walked out on the company. Taynara Conti, the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt that has showed up periodically on NXT. She was featured in the Mae Young Classic in 2017 as well as 2018. A star that is probably a bigger star on social media than she is on NXT, because she has very rare appearances on NXT, but on social media, everyone loves her. Check out her social media if you want to know what I'm talking about. But Taynara Conti has apparently walked out on NXT due to creative differences. This happened on the NXT I think it was about 3 weeks ago, where Bianca Belair won a battle royal to become the number one contender for the NXT Women's Championship at NXT Takeover Portland. Before the matchup, before the show, Taynara Conti was supposed to be in the battle royal, but apparently had creative differences backstage and decided to walk out on the company. She has apparently walked out on her contract as well. So very interesting times. This follows up with previously Casey Canizaro was another superstar that was apparently walked out on the company or was deciding to leave. So now Taynara Conti finds herself in a similar position. So we'll follow up with news on Taynara Conti on the 3 Count with SP3 during the week. We'll see if we can follow up with more up-to-date news and find out the latest on her situation. For our third count, we got to talk about the reasoning behind the co-presidents of WWE departing the company. It was reported by Wrestling Observer Newsletter and my uncle Dave Meltzer that Vince McMahon and George Barrios and Michelle Wilson has differences on the use of the money and the profits from the WWE TV deals with NBC Universal as well as Fox. George Barrios and Michelle Wilson wanted to find ways to improve on the profits for the company, as well as helping using that money to raise the stock price and bring it back up to closer to the $100 mark that it was at when the television deals were announced at the end of 2018. But Vince McMahon wanted to use the money to not only build up profits, he didn't really care that much for the stock price apparently, and he wanted to further sign more talent and stockpile on talent and further the WWE's expansion into different territories. He's very adamant about an NXT brand going on in the Japan area, so he wants to use the money towards that. So George Barrios and Michelle Wilson having differences on the use of that caused them to leave the company and Vince McMahon to find a replacement for them. Vince McMahon says that he feels that he has a very strong team. He said this during the fourth quarter conference call this week, that he feels like he has a very strong team around him and he feels like he can do it all himself, but he will find very qualified replacements for both Barrios and Wilson. But very interesting that Barrios and Wilson wanted to improve business while Vince McMahon wanted to further his ego trip and further his son-in-law's attempt to become Vince McMahon from the 80s. The expansion of NXT into the UK, in my eyes, has been a failure. It has not only killed the independent scene in the UK, promotions like Defiant is gone, promotions like World of Sports is basically non-existent. Progress has gone down in its popularity. Really, the only UK independent promotion that is still on a higher tier of where the UK had built their independent scene up to in 2015, 2016 is really OTT in Ireland. Everybody else's popularity has gone down, and that's due to losing a large amount of talent in the UK. Also, Vince McMahon wanted to use that money to get more talent from the UK or lock in the talent that they already do have for longer periods of time. But I feel like it's a failure. All they've done is kill the independent scene in the UK. Yes, I am very happy that a lot of the guys out there are getting their biggest paydays ever, but a lot of those guys are not used that much. They're used once a month for NXT UK taping, and then they have to go throughout these independent promotions that are all down here when they were up here just a couple of years ago when these guys were able to spend full time with these promotions. So, I don't know. I feel like George Barrios and Michelle Wilson had the right idea on how to improve business. You improve the profits, which will in line help raise the stock price. Vince McMahon has different opinions on that. He wants to stockpile talent. He wants to basically gut everybody else out and make WWE the dominant brand. This has a lot to do with the rise of All Elite Wrestling, of course, and New Japan Pro Wrestling over the last couple of years. So those two promotions basically rising up has hurt or ebbed, as they put it in the press release, has ebbed the flow of the worldwide dominance that WWE has been known for over the past 20 years. I don't know about you, but if you're a wrestling fan like me, I'm happy that their dominance is not what it was before. Promotions like New Japan Pro Wrestling give us the best wrestling in the world. AEW has been giving us a great weekly product every Wednesday since AEW Dynamite debuted. So I'm all for more promotions rising up to hurt the dominance of WWE, because it's only causing WWE to become more creative. Also, a side note, Vince McMahon said AEW has not caused any changes in WWE. Bullshit. Bonus count. We gotta have a bonus count for you, and yes, we're gonna talk about the misadventures of the Impact World Champion Tessa Blanchard. Tessa, of course, had a big scandal the weekend of Hard to Kill with allegations of her saying the N-word backstage in Stardom in 2017 to La Rosa Negra. Tessa had her first public media appearance with a teleconference via Impact Wrestling this week, and she has doubled down once again, saying that she has never in her life said a racial slur. Bullshit! Anyway, but yes, Tessa has doubled down. I'm a big fan of Tessa Blanchard. I've met the woman twice. I've sponsored events for promotions out here in New York City, which she has main evented for. So I'm very disappointed that she is taking this route of doubling down and deny. Now you got to live the rest of your life with denying this. Because if you ever come back and say, oh, I couldn't come out with that, it was not the right time, or if anybody has footage or audio recording of you saying something that you said you didn't say, girl, it's going to be bad for you. It's going to be bad. So my hope is that Tessa is telling the truth and that this is all a big mix-up. It's all a bunch of confusion. Maybe. Put your comments down below. Tell me what you think about all the backstage heat on the original bro, Matt Riddle. Tell me all about what your thoughts are on the news and notes for WWE NXT. If you think the injury to Tommaso Ciampa is serious. What's your thoughts on WWE re-changing the name back to NXT Women's Championship, or about Tainara Conti walking out on NXT. And of course, tell me what you thought about the reasoning for George Barrios and Michelle Wilson leaving the WWE. Who do you agree with? Do you agree with Vince McMahon's ideas to how to use the TV deal money, or do you agree with Barrios and Wilson? And then finally, who you guys believe between Tessa Blanchard, La Rosa Negra, Allison Kay, Rebel, all these other people that say something different from Tessa? What you guys think? Tell us down below in the comments section. And if you have the answer for the question of 2020, how much fish could Bobby Fish fry if Bobby Fish could fry fish? Put that down in the comments section below. If you enjoyed this video, push the like button and subscribe to the Tru Heel Heat YouTube channel for all the great content. And of course, hit the bell to stay notified. It is me, your Tru Heel Phenom SP3. This has been the 3 Count with SP3 for the weekend of February 8th, February 9th, 2020. Signing off until next time.